Everybody, what's going on here? Joey Gilbert to give you a little update. You know, it's kind of funny that I find myself here again, talking about the coronavirus. I really did think that, after the last couple weeks, we would see some major headway. And I say that because, my goodness, if the results aren't out there now, they probably never will be, because at the end of the day, here's a doctor here in Ireland, and he is saying that, he is saying that the number of deaths among recent cases is less than 1 in 1,000. This data reflects a disease much less severe than the average annual flu. The media reaction to these cases, i.e. with gravity appropriate to reporting deaths from a major catastrophe, borders on hysteria. Opening a newscast with a number of people testing positive for a condition less dangerous than the flu, which many don't even know they have, is called fear-mongering. So listen, everybody, here's the deal. I was at an amazing event Saturday night in Minden. Our president came to Northern Nevada, tiny little town, out in Minden, and I saw one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. I mean, there were 25 to 30,000 people out there. It was unreal. I have never in my life seen so much excitement for anybody in politics, let alone a president. Never saw it from Obama, never saw it for Clinton. Obviously, George Bush, we never saw it with him. And yet, I watched tens of thousands of people pack into pastures and walk down sides of roads, waving American flags, honking horns, hugging, slapping high fives. It was incredible, man. I mean, I lost my voice. It was great. I mean, I don't know if that was the smoke from the idiots starting fires, but that's a whole different story. But what I wanted to say was this, everyone. And I had put together a little something because I was hoping to say something to the crowd Saturday night, and I wasn't able to do that, unfortunately. But I wanted to take a moment because it was funny to me that I've had, some incredible support this last 6 months, as we've been, it feels like 6 weeks, man, but it's just been too long. And I've had amazing people approach me from all walks of life, never voted before, Democrats, independents, and say they just want stuff to go back to normal, and they are voting for President Trump because they don't have anyone else to vote for. They're tired of the nonsense, and they just want it to stop. And I feel the same. And so, I was gonna light up the crowd about, I said I was thinking that I wanted to, make a few comments about Joe Biden. I thought it was only fitting to comment on the president's challenger. But then I thought, I'm not really here to tell any jokes. So, boom. And I did say that Joe Biden's probably one of the biggest jokes out there. Someone should have been put out to pasture a long time ago. And I truly feel like the DNC is committing elder abuse every time they put that man on TV. But you know what I think is funny is that I know it, you know it, and the Democrats know it, that if they thought they could win legally, Hillary Clinton would be running. But that's not happening. And Joe Biden, as many have said and many have seen, has spent the last 47 years lining his pockets. He's a crook, and I'd be surprised if him and his cronies don't end up standing before some tribunal somewhere in the world in short order, because that's how bad it is. And where's Hunter? Anybody know what happened to Hunter Biden? I mean, what about Ukraine? And what about China? What about the $1.5 billion that the Bidens took out of China? You don't think that's a little concerning to you? I mean, where the hell is Hunter? So anyway, one of the things I want to talk about is I was going to say to everybody, let's talk about what's happening in America today, because I want to say something to everybody tonight. This is important. I want to say this to you all tonight. Do not be afraid of the jobs lost. They will be replenished. Do not be afraid of the civil unrest. Law and order will be restored. Do not be afraid of a challenged economy. It's growing faster than we ever imagined, and I think we know who can bring it back. They've all had their chance. They've all failed miserably. Do not be afraid of the war on police, as there are more of us who believe in law enforcement than those who want to defund. And do not be afraid of the growing anti-white sentiment, as unity will be restored in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Do not be afraid of the cancel culture and war on democracy, because we, you and me together, we will conquer the challenges of today for the generations of tomorrow. Now pay attention, everybody, because this is how they screwed us. And this is how they're going to continue to screw us, you and me. Fake news travels 6 times faster than real news. And unnamed sources have now become accepted facts that cannot be disputed. Look, our president has declared war on social media because we cannot protect our minds until we protect our emotions. And social media is attacking the emotions of our youth in creating a national emergency that threatens our very way of life. Listen up, y'all. This is important stuff. I know you think this is all a game, but this is a political game. And you and your children are being hurt. Listen, I suggest you all watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix before you cancel your subscriptions, so you can learn about the psychological operations, the AI, the mega computers, and the addiction. And with Donald Trump as president, the war against sex trafficking has been taken to the appropriate level like never before. And who's being hurt the most by sex trafficking? Women and children. And finally, it's being given the right attention. These are sick people, everybody. Sick people. And let me say this. He's catching all the pedos. He's catching all of the sickos. But the fake news won't even cover it. And in fact, they are complicit in peddling the acceptance of pedophilia, deliberately trying to normalize sexually assaulting children. Did you see that bill they just signed in California? Did you see the bill Newsom just signed? Why don't you look it up? Because it's disgusting. These are sick people. There's a new show on Netflix called Cuties, beyond disgusting. And as a father of 2 young girls, the last thing on earth I want to see is a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, or a 10-year-old twerking. It's disgusting. It has no place in this society, and it needs to stop. And if the other side ain't talking about these things, they need to go. And they ain't talking about it. Now, you want to know why there's a reason for all this turmoil right now? Do you want to know why this country is such a mess right now? Do you want to know why all these Democrat-controlled big cities are war zones? You want to know? Well, I've already mentioned the manipulation happening on social media and in cyberspace and in the fake news. And the fake news would like you to believe the collusion was between Trump and Russia. But we know that's not true, because that's all a smokescreen. The real collusion is between the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, China, and the DNC. That's the real game, who are using media manipulation to brainwash our youth like they've been doing for more than a decade. This is true, folks. We are just now waking up to it. And it's time to open our eyes and take the hard look that none of us want to see. In the past, the Cold War meant building up armaments. Today, the Cold War is about building enemies in America, out of Americans, to destroy America from within. You hear me again now. Now it's about building enemies in America, out of Americans, to destroy America from within. My fellow Americans, we stand tonight, and my fellow Nevadans, at a precipice, right? We stand at a precipice. We have to decide if we're going to play this game anymore, and we shouldn't. Our president right now is the political and geopolitical world's worst nightmare, a true counterpuncher. Promises made, promises kept. From record job growth to ending the endless wars and bringing our veterans and troops home, to fixing the VA for our wonderful veterans, and trade deal after trade deal after trade deal done with America first in mind. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing bad with that. And of course, we've got a master negotiator and businessman at the helm. That's why it's all happening. Jobs for minorities, jobs for females, every subset of America has experienced record growth and opportunity. If you've had enough of this nonsense, if you've had enough of this COVID BS, if you're done with the insane idea of defunding police and the crime and murder of our big cities, if you want law and order and you love our law enforcement and the safety they provide, then talk to everyone you know and get loud about what's happening in this state and in this country. And I want to say this about voting. Vote in person. Don't you dare take the risk. And you think there's a greater risk at the polls of getting sick? Come on now. Even Dr. Fauci and Dr. Burt said we could vote in person safely. So what's really happening? All right, guys, I read my little statement, but let's get in the weeds of this. Let's get in the weeds of this. We just had our governor go on MSNBC, of course. You know, you can't get any more biased and political than that. And he called our president disgusting, reckless, and arrogant. And darn, if I didn't think we were talking about Steve Sisolak down in Vegas having dinner at the restaurant with no mask and listening to live music. But all of a sudden, you can't be somewhere by your own volition and your own decision and go to a protest, right? But it was okay for 30 straight nights of protesting in Las Vegas out in the streets and thousands of people. But it's not okay to go protest or to go to an event that you care about. So what's with the double standard then, Governor? How come I didn't see you doing this when we were having these marches and these rallies? When we were having these defund the police rallies? How come you weren't out there with the mask on during which was just beyond bizarre and a little creepy if you ask me. You don't wear a mask to the restaurant in Vegas where you're listening to live entertainment, but you would wear a mask on camera with MSNBC News in your office in Carson City. And it's not politics. It's not showmanship. It's not just for political theater, because I think it is, Governor. And I think what you've done is despicable. And you, my friend, are a complete joke. You're a joke. And you want to know why you're a joke? Because at the end of the day, have you seen those pool parties in Vegas? So you can't, you wear a mask on the side of the pool, or if you're sitting in a chair, but if you're in the water dancing to the music, no mask. And Clark County hospital beds haven't hit peak capacity. The IC units aren't full. None of that's happened, right? I know it hasn't happened. I know, I'm asking this facetiously because I've called the doctors, and I know just like everyone else knows. And the tear sheets that come out of the hospitals, those are coming soon too. That's going to be in a separate lawsuit. Because at the end of the day, there's no longer an imminent threat. There's no longer an emergency. So why are we here? Why is the state still locked down? Why are they still playing the games with the kids? And again, I want to remind everybody, there's not one documented transmission of student to teacher infection in the modern world, in Europe, anywhere where the schools have been open since May. And again, I said this last time, and I hope it's helped a little bit, because I know there were plenty of Nevadans that are done with it and we're going to be opening up their bars and taverns anyway. So I'm glad it's going to happen here tomorrow night. But I want to say this. They're having pool parties in Wuhan, China. They're back to school in Europe. No one is talking about lockdowns anymore. And as a matter of fact, they're saying the exact opposite. They're saying that lockdowns can no longer be justified in light of what we now know about COVID-19. The lockdowns, they have said now, disproportionately harm the youth. Our children have been disproportionately harmed by the lockdowns. And you know what they say? They harm the youth, and you can't postpone youth. Our student athletes, our kids that have been locked up away from their coaches. It's not right. And here's the other most important part. He talks about the financial cost. He condemned the obsession with cases and a contextless number that only panics people, when we should instead be focusing on hospital strain. So guys, as you all take your own approach to this, I'm just going to ask you to use common sense. And I'm going to say to you this real quick. If they can fly on airplanes where they have recycled air for hours, if this virus really did what they said it would do and was as dangerous as they said it was, everyone would be dead on those planes. Everyone would be dead and sick and hurting and dying and full of disease if it was nearly as violent and as deadly as they said it was. But it hasn't happened. And in fact, in talking with administrators here in town, tons of workers were let go. People were furloughed. I said this time and time again, and we never even came close to capacity in our hospitals, let alone our ICU beds. And when they talk about ICU bed strain, they don't talk about all the other normal, everyday things that are getting these people in those hospitals. Okay, so I want to say something else here, guys, that's really important. Here's an important thing. From a medical perspective, this is the chief medical doctor in Ireland. And okay, guys, I'm just going here because they're about 2 or 3 months ahead of us. And you'd think that if our governor was using the best medical science, he'd be referencing stuff like this, but he's not. Instead, he's hiding. He's hiding behind positive test numbers, which he knows don't mean jack. They don't mean a damn thing. I want to see everybody in these comments here. Sound off. Again, guys, it is working. Get loud. If you think this is bullshit, then call it bullshit. Your kids are locked in home distance learning, okay? My nephews are having a hell of a time trying to learn in this distance learning. What are you doing? It's no longer an imminent threat. Why are you carrying on with the nonsense, Governor Sisolak? If they can have pool parties, if they can have gatherings everywhere, if you can have people in Walmart, people in Home Depot, people in every grocery store, why are we still doing this? It's all a bunch of nonsense. From a medical perspective, I am not seeing an impact from COVID on the ground. What I'm seeing is delayed diagnoses for other conditions, breast cancer, skin cancer in young people, of onslaught of anxiety, depression, an increase in loneliness in the elderly. Recently, a fractured humerus in an elder lady that has been like that for months as she was afraid to go outside. Stop with the fear-mongering. Stop with the nonsense, Governor Sisolak. You and I both know, which is why you were in a restaurant in Las Vegas with live music and no mask, that this is bullshit. So stop it. Lives are at stake, and it's not lives anymore from the coronavirus. It's lives from everything else but the coronavirus. Suicides, depression, cancer, respiratory diseases, you name it. People aren't going to the hospital and seeing their doctor because they've been scared by you. And you're a joke. A big joke. Because anybody that can sit with a straight face and address the people and come up and talk about ambient background music after he was just in a restaurant with live music and he's got the bars and the taverns closed in Reno and other places, should have his head examined and definitely shouldn't be leading this state. That's where I'm at. And at the end of the day, I know our bars and taverns are open tomorrow, I hope. But don't be surprised at all if this man tries to shut you down and shove you back in your house, if it fits his narrative. So, what I want to ask everybody is this. Can you all please tell me, and I know I see everybody here, thank you, keep going, keep commenting, get this thing going, get as many comments as you can I have up there, because I just want to ask this before we close. I ain't doing a 45-minute one. I just want to say this to everybody. Why is it that it's the blue states that are staying closed? Why is it that the 5 states that formed that little dumb compact in March having the fires? And why do these climate change fires end at the Canadian border? Riddle me that. Riddle me that. So 5 states join a pact to stay closed. They're the 5 states with the fires. They're the 5 states with all the problems. They're the 5 states with the rioting. 5 states killing police officers, targeting police officers. You got idiots like LeBron James saying that he feels like his people are hunted. You want to know what? Our law enforcement officers, our Leos are being hunted, and it's disgraceful, and it's disgusting. And those of you that aren't stepping up and saying something about it, you're part of the problem, and you're only creating more of the problem by not speaking up against it. It's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And so again, I'm just going to say this. Blue states, they are inflamed, literally, rioting, being devastated by business closures, inept leadership, the most deaths, the biggest inconveniences for parents and students student athletes and churches and business owners, and the list of ridiculousness goes on, all in the blue states where they have the highest death rates. And again, guys, enough with the infections, the pie in the sky infection rates. Did you see the results that have come out? 90% of the tests that they've done are nonsense, meaning that you're going to test positive when you're not positive. You don't have it in there. You don't. And another shocking discovery, just because you test positive for coronavirus doesn't mean you have the coronavirus. I don't know how you even decipher that one, but that's out there. And the World Health Organization is the one saying, Governor Sisolak, and your little comment about Trump's rallies where you said it was arrogant and reckless. You, my friend, have done the exact same thing, but it's okay for you, right? It's okay for you to do it. It's okay for you to be places without a mask. It's okay for you and Nancy Pelosi. You and Nancy Pelosi, she can go get her hair blown out. She can go get her hair did, her nails done without a mask. She's over 70 and in one of the highest risk categories. And if it was true, that woman would be dead. She'd be in the hospital. All right, so we know that now. We know for a fact that's what would be happening. But we're still going to play this game. All right, so let's get back to this part. We have Governor Sisolak, we have Nancy Pelosi, we have Governor Cuomo, no mask, out with people doing what they want to do. But God forbid someone with an other political ideology does something they want to do, then it's bad. Then it's mass death. Now Trump is creating all these problems for people because he had a rally. But you let rallies go on for 30 days. And you got one of our law enforcement officers in Las Vegas shot in the head because you wouldn't shut it down. So I just want to ask everybody, how much longer are we going to play these games? Why do they have these garbage restrictions in place, yet the highest death rates, super inaccurate testing, closed schools, massive negative repercussions, all for the states that have remained closed? Put simply, the states that never closed and never restricted businesses and never went crazy with the masks are doing much better. And that's just a simple scientific fact. Might be an inconvenient fact for you, Governor Sisolak, but it is a fact. So now, those of you bitching about the 50-person size limit, y'all can pound sand. You want to know why? Because y'all did your little rallies and had your little games in the streets for 30 days straight. No mask, no social distancing, and not once did the governor get on MSNBC with his little mask in Carson City, which, I mean, come on, guys. If that doesn't make you laugh, mask in his office in Carson City, but no mask in the restaurant with live music, and you're still going to play the game? So all I want to say to everybody is this. At the end of the day, it's all nonsense. This is all being done to destabilize our great country. The riots, the fires, the COVID pandemic, all of it. The school closures, the sports being shut down, the capacity of our churches, the targeting attempted murder and murder of our law enforcement officers is all part of a plan. And it needs to stop. So I'll just say this, for our Hyde and Biden. At the end of the day, you have to stop playing the game. Do your own research. You don't have to take anything I'm saying to heart. You don't have to believe any of it. Go research it yourself. Go look what they've used. Look at the therapeutics. Look at what we know who to treat. We know how to treat them. We know how to get in front of them. Okay? That's what we know. So why are we still playing the game? We've never reached capacity in any of our hospitals. Never even come close. And I saw the tear sheets for the last 2 months. And it's not pretty. Because someone's been lying to y'all. And they've been lying to you all in a big, bad, nasty way. So this is it, guys. I'm going to sign off for a few more days until I come back up here and get y'all going again. But in the meantime, I want to say this. Stop playing the game. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. All right? If you feel sick, stay home. But at the end of the day right now, I wouldn't get tested because they're manipulating the numbers. I'll tell you that right now. Why wouldn't I do that? Because it's a pie in the sky number. Just because you test positive doesn't mean you have the coronavirus. And half the tests, more than half the tests, 90% of the tests aren't accurate. Don't play the game anymore, people. Stand up for what you believe in. Open your businesses. Do what you do, what you're passionate about. Get back into the game. And remember who lied to you. Remember who didn't stand up for you. Remember who put you through this misery. And when you vote in November, whoever you vote for, you do it in person. If you have to, you take your mail-in ballot to the poll with you because they're going to play games there too. You bring your ballot to the poll and you vote in person. And you vote like your life, your livelihood, and your children's health depends on it, because it does. And I'll check in with you again soon. Get on the website if you need to. Reach out to me, media@joeygilbertlaw.com, and I will get back to you if I can. But I am answering questions. I am fighting for you, and we will not stop until this state is back open. Thank you, and God bless. Bam.